Samantha Fish, great to see you again.
Great to see you too. Thank you.
Last time I saw you wasn't that long ago. It was at the NAM show. You were there for the She Rocks Awards.
That's it. Yeah.
It was a bit of an ordeal for you getting there. You were snowed in at the airport. After all that, were you able to enjoy the night?
Yes. Yeah. That was. I needed to blow off a little steam there. That was quite harrowing getting out there, but it was totally worth it and super cool. And I'd never been to NAMM before, and that's an experience. I'm glad I got to go.
Yeah. Did you escape without purchasing anything?
I purchased something when I got home, and I'm like a little. Uh, it got the shame shivers a little bit for it, but it's good. I needed it. So, but yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's hard to walk around that big room and not, get a little bit excited about something.
Yeah. The reason we're talking to you today is because you have this great new album, Paper Doll, out on April 25. Going by the press release, it was written and recorded while you were still on the road. What were the pros and cons of doing it that way?
Well, the cons were it was crazy because we really didn't have time. Like the when I looked at the calendar and was like, okay, we have to make a record. There just was nothing on the schedule. So we kind of like, oh, we got to figure this out. We're going to have to just find little holes between tour dates. I mean, we had like 2 days off between a show in Austin, Texas, and a show in Oklahoma City. And we said, okay, that's 2 days in a studio in Austin. And we booked it. And I think the next session was 2 days in LA between a couple gigs. And it was just like, doing the record like that, it was a little bit like stressful in a way, but at the same time, I think that energy of like walking practically off stage, still covered in sweat from the stage into the studio, everybody kind of had this like, all right, the just this energy of like, we already had this like rock and roll thing going on. It just sort of worked. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't do it again. I think there was something that really worked about it. And I don't know. It was a success. Thank God. I'm just glad that we finished it and we finished it on time. I was unsure.
Did you record together as a band?
Um, yeah, we did. It's the first time that I've ever performed with my touring band on an album. Usually, I've just been in these situations where session musicians had made the most sense, and but this time around, it definitely made more sense to work with my touring band, and I'm really glad that we did because we just kind of had this great chemistry and energy together, and I think that translated really well onto the record.
Yeah. And why did Paper Doll become the title track?
I don't know. It just felt right to me. That song in particular is sort of, it's about the frustration of being a woman and having these like expectations. You're supposed to be all these different things to all these different people, and you're supposed to do it well. And it's just sort of a unrealistic expectation. So that song is sort of like standing in defiance of that. Like, you might want me to be this certain way, but I'm not that. I'm, this is who I am. And it just kind of felt like the right kind of defiance to lead the record and the attitude and tone of everything.
Yeah. There are some great guitar tones on the album, particularly the slide guitar parts. Did you record those the same way you normally would?
Yeah, I think so. Um, I don't ask me what guitars I played because I have no clue. You know, really my methodology in the studio is like, let's keep picking up guitars till we plug the one in that sounds and feels right to nail this part. And the same goes with slide guitar. It's like I really like to approach slide like almost in a simple way. It's about the melody, it's simple phrases, it's catchy hooks. I I definitely just, you want it to just sound good. And whatever tool it takes to do that.
Yeah. Tell me about Bobby Harlow. What did he bring to the project?
Um, like never ending, deep well of like, energy and enthusiasm and passion for the project. He has a vision. Bobby has a vision. He, he sees how the whole thing could come together, and he just really tries to get that out of every musician in the room. Like he gets everybody to pour every ounce of effort into their performance, you know? And I really enjoy working with him because he pushes me in a way that like I definitely feel like I deliver more, you know, working in that kind of an environment with somebody who believes that you can do this thing and they've figured out how to like get it out of you. And he does that with everybody he works with. I've seen him do it with mix engineers and bandmates and musicians. He's really got a clear vision. He knows how to talk to people um and he gets people excited about what they're doing. I mean, that to do that as a producer, it's a gift, you know, to get people excited.
And I believe he plays a mean tambourine as well.
He does, yeah, thankfully. Yeah, he definitely played tambourine on the record. I think he was a little like, why did you put me in the liner notes? I'm like, because it's the truth, man. You should own it.
With your guitars, like the SGs, generally do they have the same string gauges and tuning?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I use like just kind of standard tens on most of my guitars. Uh yeah, I use the same. I'm so lazy with it. I was just thinking I probably use thicker strings on my slide stuff. I'm like, no, you don't. I use the same thing on everything. And I do stuff in different tunings. It's all about the setup for me. It's not really about the strings or the gauge. It's like because that all feels comfortable to my hand no matter what. But when you're playing slide, it's nicer to have a bit more, you know, a higher action, so you're not clanking around on the frets. But I always generally play with tens, and then I mess around with my tunings.
Yeah. Nine tracks on the album. It's all killer, no filler.
I think so.
Were there other tracks that you were playing around with?
Yeah, of course. There's a couple that ended up getting put into the pile of songs that may or may not have, you know, be released at a later date. I think they'll be released at a later date. Maybe not on a record, maybe as an individual track, but it's always good to have a surplus, you know, of recorded songs and then not recorded songs. So,
Yeah. Are there other rock albums which you view as benchmark albums for the kind of recorded sound you aspire to?
oh, are there benchmark records for
Like,
like other artists?
yeah, there's sonically albums that really stand out for you.
Oh, that's tough to say. Of course. I'm trying to think. It's right on the tip of my tongue. Like there is an album I've referenced a bunch that like sonically is perfect, but it's escaping me right now. This record in particular, I just kind of revisited my favorite vintage, like, you know, I love the Stones, you know, and it's like, how do we make the vocals sound like this? You know, how do you get the choir to sound and feel like this? You know, I definitely referenced some stuff on Exile on Main Street for this record. Um, just, you know, like I'll use a song as an example, like Let It Loose with the choir, right? The singers, and I thought about them a lot when we were recording vocals, and um, you know, that record for me, it's like it's perfectly like live, and it's got such a feeling to it, and you know, I don't know, just love that era of records and what they sound like.
Yeah, and you supported those guys last year. What do you remember about that day?
Uh, Trying to not think about the fact that I was supporting the Stones all day, you know, because that was a little like, you know, I felt like if I thought about it, I'd probably freak out. So I just kind of tried to keep keep in mind, you know, that I've been playing shows for a long time and that this is what I do and this is what I've worked hard to do and just go do that thing that I know how to do. And it was really I don't know, it's definitely one of those moments where I'm never gonna forget it. And I feel really humbled to have had that opportunity. And they're like one of my favorite bands. I think they're everybody's favorite band, you know. They're just incredible and they've stood the test of time and they're still killer, you know, their shows are just incredible. It was really unique. It was very, very special. I'm really lucky I got to do that.
Yeah. Back to the album. Was the track order important to you?
Yes. But you know, like I feel like it's always an interesting conversation because we all have different opinions about what the track listing should be. I just want people to you can really change what people think of a record by opening with a certain song and taking them on a journey. I have felt varying levels of, I'm going to die on this hill for this track listing, and then you don't remember what the original listing was 6 months from, after. So I feel like it is very important because it takes people on a journey, and but I guess the long that's the long story to tell you that my listing is not the listing we ended up going with. So I didn't die on the hill, and I'm glad I didn't because I actually like the track listing now. So I think it works and flows really, really well.
Yeah. I love the track Sweet Southern Sounds. How
Yeah.
many takes of that solo did you do?
Not that many. Actually, Bobby was pretty shocked because I remember they turned down all the lights in the studio. They're like, okay, we're gonna get the mood just right. And because they knew that I had to do this big solo and it speeds up, as you're going through it. And uh I think I went through it a few times and he's like, how the hell are you? I'm like, I don't know, I'm just feeling it. You told me to do this, but I think he thought it was gonna be this really painful process. And honestly, I feel like that song is just sort of like something that feels really at like I just feel at home playing a song like that. And it's a journey when you're writing a guitar solo. I have little motifs I like to return to. I have little rules, but it's just about feeling. And a lot of times I feel like the earlier takes are the best ones because you're not really thinking as much. You're just kind of feeling it. And it's like it feels like it's on the brink of falling apart. And that's where like the cool energy is. So I think in those situations, just not overthinking it as much as you can. I mean, if it was up to me, I'd be sitting in there still trying to figure that guitar solo out. But there's such an energy and just this like, you know, train wreck kind of feeling that you have as a musician. It can translate better.
Yeah. So coming off the road to record the album, had you been playing any of the songs in concert?
No, nope, nope. Everything was a mystery. Even to the band, they were so mad because I wasn't sending them. They're like, let's start working on them. I was like, no, I wanted to keep it really fresh because I really just wanted us to go in there and create in the moment. But we didn't work on this stuff on stage. Uh, we worked purely in that setting in the studio. And I don't really like to play the songs before the record comes out anymore anyway, just because it's nice to keep some things a little mysterious. And you know I think I like to draw people in with these kind of things. If I gave it all away 6 months ago, would it even be special when it comes out? I don't know.
Yeah. Is there a track on the album that's closer to your heart than others?
I'll be honest, I really like them all right now. I'm sure usually the thing that happens first is I find one that I detest after a while, and that's how I find the hierarchy of the songs. Um, I really like Lose You. Um, there's just something about that guitar part and just the arrangement on that song I find to be really exciting. Really anything with the backing vocalist, I just feel like they added such a depth to it. Oh, Mick Collins on Rusty Razor. I think that made that song like one of my favorites on the album. Just gave it this, you know, cool Detroit garage rock feeling. I don't know. I like them. I like them all. What do you like on there? Did you get to hear it?
Yeah, as I said, Sweet Southern Sounds is my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, good. Yeah, that one's pretty special, man. Anders Osborne and I wrote that song together, so to see what it became from where we started with it's pretty cool.
yeah. So going out on the road, how many of these new songs would you hope to put into the set?
Most, if not all of them. I feel like, I really like to switch it up with the show. Because, we spend our the majority of our year out on the road, really. It keeps it fresh for the band, it keeps it fresh for the audience. I get the opportunity to create a new show that's like, I want to grow with every record. So it's like I don't want to just put out a record and play like one or two songs off it, go back to playing the same stuff I've been playing. But it's a bit of a balance because you have to respect that there are fans that have a history with you and have, preferred song. Luckily, it's only 9 songs, and we usually play, 90 minutes to 2 hours. So I got to fill it up with something. I anticipate playing most of it, and hopefully creating a new exciting show around it.
Yeah. You're also going out on the road with Christone Kingfish. Uh,
Yeah,
when did you first meet Kingfish?
2016. We met in Portland at I think it's called the Waterfront Blues Festival. We played together out there, and I mean, we've been keeping an eye on each other for years. We reconnected on that Slash tour because we got to do that cover with Slash on Guitar World, and um, yeah, he's so talented, man. I mean, he's really a torchbearer for the blues, and he's so incredibly gifted with his guitar and his singing, and he's the truth, and I'm really excited to be doing something with him. And we both have fish in our names, and people find that funny, so I guess that's what that's what we're doing.
It is a great hook.
I think you got me there. No, it's so funny because people they want to put us together all the time, and I'm like, is it because of the fish thing? It might be. I don't know.
You've achieved so much. What's left on the Samantha Fish wish list to do or bucket list?
Oh man. I think there's a lot of things. It's like, there's the the cool like TV would be great, this and that. There are things that as like a professional and as a musician, there are certain shows you want to play, certain, you know, uh opportunities you'd like to get, but realistically speaking, and to keep it kind of broad, I just want to keep growing and reaching people and writing music that connects. Um, I'd like to see things grow, you know, I'd like to collaborate. I'd like to make music with other people that, I find inspiring. And that's really the broad answer to that, just to keep doing the thing I've been really lucky to get to do.
Yeah. And most importantly, when do you think you'll be back down here in Australia?
Um, I think probably 2026.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish sooner, but probably 2026.
Yeah. All right. We look forward to that and look forward to the album Paper Doll coming out on April 25. Samantha Fish, been great to catch up again.
Yeah, thank you so much. Great to see you. I appreciate it, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah.